Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show.
Hero fans, welcome back to Primatech Files. I am Lilith.
And I'm Ricky.
For discussion today is episode 3, One Giant Leap. I don't really think this episode lived up to its title.
Thinking about it now, I've rewatched it maybe about an hour, 2 hours ago, and they're all merging into one, and I can't really remember anything about this apart from everything that I've got on my notes. So yeah.
That's just a kind of a lofty name to give an episode. Like it was a good episode for me. Like a lot happened, and it was around the characters for the most part that I really liked. We had a lot of Hero, we had a lot of Peter, and a lot of Mohinder and Eden. So, of course, I'm happy with that. If you want to give them the synopsis.
Nikki finds a clue related to her estranged husband's disappearance and confronts her mother-in-law. Claire attends a bonfire with disastrous consequences. Hero returns to the present and attempts to enlist Ando's assistance. Peter struggles to discover the nature of his powers. Mohinder and Eden make a gruesome discovery about Sylar that could have implications for Nathan. Matt aids the FBI in search of Sylar, then falls prey to a mysterious stranger at a Los Angeles bar. And finally, Simone calls things off with Isaac and becomes closer to Peter.
So we begin this episode with Nikki Sanders outside of Las Vegas digging a body. This is actually pretty interesting because she finds a skull ring on the corpse's finger and she takes it and then, she buries the rest of the bodies.
Yep.
And we're like, okay, what's the skull ring? Obviously, because they panned in on it so hard.
Yeah.
It's a clue. And we're back at Texas and Claire is telling her father that if the football team wins, she'll be out late for the bonfire. He tells her to be careful and she rolls her eyes.
I know, the whole time I was watching this, because obviously I'm from England and I don't really know about American high schools apart from what I see in American teen shows. And the whole thing of them making like an effigy of like the town I'm assuming the other football team's mascot, and just having a noose around it just felt really weird to me. But yeah, the whole time I was watching it, I was just seeing her dragging along this kind of scarecrow type thing, literally by the noose ends, just like dragging this poor thing along. But yeah.
Okay, can I just say that Texas isn't representative of most states in the union? Because even I thought that was a bit much. I'm like, I'm not even sure if they actually do that much in Texas. Yeah, so then we go back to Tokyo, and Hero wants to go find Ando. And he's like, he shows up with this issue, the Ninth Wonders that he picked up in the last episode. And Ando's like, you've been drinking too much sake, my good friend. And then he opens it up, and the comic book is literally word for word the conversation they're having.
It's a great little thing to help Hero, just like, it kind of gives Hero what to do in like stages, obviously, but it also helps him convince Ando that he has to go with him, because otherwise most of it would be him trying to convince Ando of his powers, and this just kind of confirms it for him.
I like that a lot. Then we skip over to New York where, Peter is trying to test his powers, but he kind of off the monkey nose, off the sleeve, and this little boy with a cape just looking at him, licking ice cream. And that's one of the most iconic like things from season 1 to me.
It's so good because of the way they play it off as if it's literally like exactly the same as how the show opens with him on the ledge, and it looks like he's literally they've just repeated the scene again, and they're just going to do like something over it, and then he jumps off, and oh man, I think he's drinking a drink and he gets like the last sip where you can hear the thing, but yeah, it's genius, yeah.
Oh, so he gets kind of agitated and he goes over to Nathan's campaign headquarters, and Nathan's just like, look dude, you can't be saying this crazy stuff, I'm in the middle of a campaign. And so he has the book, which is another kind of thing that kind of goes throughout the first like 6-7 episodes. It's Activating Evolution by Chandra Suresh.
Or Evolution, which depending on which part of the world you're from. No, I'm joking.
And so it's like, yeah, Nathan tells him that there's a reporter investigating Peter's apparent suicide attempt. Jerk. I get so angry when I think about that particular scene.
Funny though, because it's essentially like the whole way through these first couple of episodes, it's been Peter's kind of the good guy, and Nathan Petrelli, like Nathan, his own brother, just seems to be like Peter's own villain the whole way through. Like he's always like kind of putting him down, and especially like towards the end of the episode, like he just throws him under the bus and just does whatever he can. It's like he's so straight-laced and looking down at, trying to win, and he won't let anyone, not even his brother, like being crazy, stand in his way. He'll use it to his advantage, in fact. Yeah.
You're just like, holy crap. You just hate Nathan. Like, you just do.
Oh no, but I'm kind of liking him now, like in hindsight, because I think Peter's just so like mopey at the moment. So like Nathan, I'm just like, yeah, come on, give it to him more.
Go back to Mohinder, who's at his father's apartment researching, and Eden comes in with macaroni and cheese, the good kind, the baked kind, not that crap box kind.
And by researching, he's literally just sitting in front of the computer watching the scrolling text. He's just been in his vest all night, just watching that text, hoping that something will pop out at him, apart from like the obvious helix throughout the whole thing. But yeah,
he like never makes mention of it either. That's the thing. So like he finally gets frustrated and throws the damn thing.
Of course he does.
Like that discovers a small journal stuck inside the computer.
It's like having the lizard again. It's like having Mohinder the lizard. These things just happen.
Oh god. So then that's where he finds like the notes, and there's like this address for Sylar in Queens and a key taped in there as well. And that key becomes very important.
Mm.
Then we're back at the FBI headquarters in LA with Agent Hansen and Matt Parkman, and she's like, how'd you find Molly? How did you know the name? So we're still doing that whole song and dance.
Yep.
So he finally convinces her he can read minds. And she's like, well, okay, that's normal. We're going to do an investigation.
Sorry, she accepts it straight away. It's like, do you want to come work for us? Doesn't even ask.
I hope that's not how the FBI works. So then we head over to Texas, and Zach's like, look, Claire, your tape is missing. And she's like, I just want to be normal. I don't care. And you should be normal too, Zach. Stop being a weirdo. So she's back to Peachy Claire.
Yeah. Yep.
Isaac, we go back to Isaac in his studio, and Simone is like gathering paintings for a show. And she's like, here, we'll sell this and we'll get you into rehab. And he's like, no.
Yeah, I need it.
And so she gives him an ultimatum because of course she does, and she leaves.
And it's essentially like I was saying in the last episode with Isaac being like the first kind of hero, and this kind of has him pushing away his loved ones because he needs to fulfill his destiny or his mission, and that kind of plays into the fact that he's a hero. That's always like one of the superhero tropes where they're pushing away the people that they love the most for fear of them getting hurt and stuff like that.
So then we go to Hero, who calls Isaac to warn him, but
Hero
doesn't know English that well. I love those calls though. He's like, don't answer, it's just a man in Japanese.
And it's that whole kind of crossing over of everyone, like that happens here. Like, obviously Hero's trying to warn him, but there's the language barrier. And we said this, I said this in the last episode about, even though they're all over the place, they kind of start crossing over bits and pieces throughout like the episodes which I think was quite cool, especially with them being so far away from each other.
Hero follows the comic book, and he's got Ando with him, and they're gonna save this Japanese schoolgirl who's gonna be hit by a train. So it's funny because it's like the paradoxical thing about time travel. Like if you go back in time to kill your grandfather, you won't be born. So basically, by Ando trying to stop the truck, it's what causes the girl to. I was just like, of course.
Oh man,
it was a cute scene though, because it's like all these little Japanese schoolgirls.
Yeah. It's like, which one? And then all of them, it's like that kind of comedic thing that always happens. Like, who are we looking for? And then that's when the massive, like, horde of, like, people rush through and you're just trying to find the one person. Yeah.
So after they save the girl, that's what gets Ando to help Hiro. Yeah, so we're back with the Nikki in the desert. And so she decides to go see DL's mother, Paulette Hawk. And Nikki shows her the ring and says, DL's crew were all of them. And she's like, he robbed Mr. Linderman of $2 million and then killed his own crew. And I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, if your husband, this is the thing that kind of confused me. If your husband stole $2 million from Mr. Linderman, how could you have borrowed $30,000?
Yeah.
But anyway, then Paulette was like, I know he didn't frame. I was like, I know he was framed because if he had the money, he'd have Micah on a beach somewhere, implying that he wouldn't have taken her. So I was like, okay, you tell her then, Paulette.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was a cute, really funny scene because somebody just so insufferable. I understand you're a recovering alcoholic. You had some trauma in your childhood, but just man, that doe-eyed routine gets on my nerves.
We didn't even know this at that point. We just thought she was on a par with Janice Parkman at this point. Sorry.
Ooh, ouch! Another character that is so insufferable, no matter how you try to slice it. So then we see Audrey talk to Matt about Molly Walker. Now, I love this little girl.
Yeah.
But we don't get more about her till much.
Yeah, I completely forgot about her once when they brought her up, like, later on. Like, I think this is her last appearance, isn't it? Until much later, but yeah.
Yep. So, then they kind of talk about how her parents were killed and MO and all that stuff. And then we go to Eden and Mohinder. And they're actually at the address they found for Sylar. So I'm like, damn, went with him?
And they're just breaking in.
That's when the red flags really start going up.
And they're just straight up breaking into the place.
He tries to use the key, but it doesn't work. And then she's like, maybe we should leave. And then he's like, nah, I'm just gonna kick. Now this is kind of like the scene from the unaired pilot when he gets closet with "Forgive Me."
Yeah, the whole Catholic or Christian overtones throughout that kind of never followed through. It's just kind of weird, like.
That was weird, definitely. What do we see when we get in there? There's books about autopsies.
Yeah,
of course.
There's a Darwin book as well, I think, and the Activating Evolution book, which for some reason Mohinder decides to take a photo of at one point. I was just like, your photo skills, mate, they're a bit weird. Like, you know what the book looks like.
Inside the secret room is a more complete version of the map.
Yeah.
She sees the thing for Nathan Petrelli, and then he also finds a curtained off area with the graffiti that we're talking about.
Yep.
Forgive me, and I sin. We cut right back to the FBI headquarters, and it's Audrey and Matt. They approach the safe room, and they hear Molly screaming.
Yeah.
And then there's a shadowy figure that, we all just assume is Sylar dragging the poor girl.
Yeah.
That's bleak. It's just a little girl.
Mm.
And so, he they see the agent's body and stuff, and then he can comforts, they actually get the girl back, right? Yeah.
I think, Molly's, Parkman spends some time instead of chasing after, the bad guy just tried to steal her. He just kind of talks to her and tries to reassure her in that kind of daddy way that, only Matt Parkman can do with Molly.
Exactly. It was Sylar because she draws her gun on him
and he
forces him backwards and makes him point the gun at his head. But then Matt arrives and he shoots the suspect. And
of course he gets back up and then disappears.
I know. It's just like this is ridiculous. Why did he? At the end of the day, I would say, why did he really need Claire's powers?
Yeah.
Because I guess Peter's powers kind of like his a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, Peter was a sponge, whereas he could just take them, couldn't he, right? Sylar could just take them.
They called it, what did they call it? They called it intuitive something. It's always weird that they never specifically said what it was. It was just kind of fan speculation at the end of the day, really.
Yeah, because I like that whole thing about, him, because I never even noticed the whole thing about the brains, I never know, like, even, it's only on the rewatch, but on first watch, I never really kind of picked up on the whole, the head was off Molly's dad, and then in the apartment, there's like pictures of like heads out, and like, all, like brain autopsies or whatever. Yeah, I never really picked up on it until like looking back on it now. Intuitive aptitude.
Yeah. I was like, couldn't come up with something better than that. Yeah, so anyway, that's where we're at. And so yeah, what happens after that whole debacle? Ando and Hiro discussing the logistics of time travel on the flight from Tokyo to Los Angeles.
Yeah, I really like that. I like that one. Like, it's the whole shouldn't I be at home so I can get your phone call? It's like, we're changing time now. I quite like that. Because I've always wondered, like, ever since watching Back to the Future as a kid, like, I was like, well, there's got to have been one time where the timeline just played straight out. And it always confused me as a kid. And even now, it still kind of confuses me, even after reading, like, numerous Marvel comics as a teenager. But yeah.
So yeah, then we see Simone run into Peter in the lobby of her father's building. And, he's like, yeah, I just quit my job. And, I'm destined for something bigger.
What was it his mum calls it? What was it his mum called it in the previous episode? Delusions of grandeur.
Yeah. At that point, you really start wondering, right? So after that, we're at the bonfire.
That happened.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. That happened.
I don't know. They had like another thing. They had like a near kind of thing with Nikki beforehand in like in the pilot. Like there was essentially the same kind of stuff going on, only, but this one was a bit much. But yeah. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
No, I totally agree. But no, it's like Brody's like talking to Claire. He's sweet talking to her. He's like, yeah, come off with me. And then there's this creepy girl looking on, like, I know what that's. So we only get that little brief scene, and then we kind of go back to Matt, and he's at home, and his wife's still awake.
Oh, Janice Parkman, what a quote unquote great character you are.
I really didn't like Janice at all. I didn't like the original one from the unaired pilot either.
I just think it's funny, like the way, like I think in my live tweet I said that I think Janice is being played off like the villain of Matt's piece, like because everyone's got like their own villain at the moment, kind of like Peter's Nathan, yeah, Jesse, Nikki's is like Jessica, and then obviously Matt is just his wife. I just couldn't take throughout the whole thing, yeah.
So he leaves because she thought it, and he doesn't really realize, he can't turn this off. Oh, then we go back to another dreadful bonfire scene. They're kissing on the, Claire and Brody are kissing on the bleachers, and, yeah, things kind of turn bleak. And, she falls and impales her head on a broken tree limb, and she looks like she's dead.
Yeah.
Like permanently dead. It's just like, okay, that was quick.
It's kind of like a Joss Whedon thing to do, to kind of give you a character that should be beloved and just killing her off. But I think on the rewatch, I was like, why didn't she just stay dead?
It would have solved everything, literally. Then we get back to Nikki and Micah, and they're driving away from Dio's mom's house, and he's like, Micah's like, yeah, I know where my dad is.
Yeah, Micah's always had that. Yeah, Micah's always had that kind of thing where he knows more than Nikki does.
Which is pretty easy, let's be honest. And then Nikki gets pulled over by a policeman that's working for Mr. Linderman, who of course wants to see her.
Yep.
So this is the scene that I just absolutely hate, because Peter runs into Simone again. She's all gussied up, looking hot. He's actually cleaned up his suit on. He's got
the fringes at the bangs, I think you guys call it, are out of his face. Slick back. And he's the one who's drinking.
Oh my God. So Nathan begins his speech, and he tells the audience that, my dad committed suicide after a battle with depression. Like, Peter's fall was also a depression-related suicide attempt, and the whole room goes silent, bro. Turns around and looks at
throws him under the bus, yeah. Just cold Nathan. I love it.
Oh God! So Peter storms out, and Simone follows him, and then we're back at an airport in Los Angeles, and it's Hiro and Ando renting a car from a Hotspur employee. Now, fun fact about Hotspur, the car rental place, is that because Damon Lindelof used to work with Tim Crean, they decided that this is also featured in Lost.
But also I vaguely remember the woman who he buys who rents the car off is Ricky Lindholm, who is part of, I think the band is Garfunkel and Oates. She's in she has like bit parts in like quite a few things, but yeah, I remember seeing it. I was like, oh man, she's in it for like a scene. But yeah,
It's also in issue 14 of that Ninth Wonders, and it's a pretty good rendition. Like, they're like, how do we know? He's like, I want this car from the comic book.
yeah,
I was like, that is just some shameless self-promotion if you guys ever saw it.
yeah. He says it like all the time. It's like Versa, Nissan Versa. It's like him for like speaking English properly for the first time. That is just pure plugs of just like, give me that car. Yeah,
And then we
great.
see Ando watching a clip of Nikki stripping on his iPod.
Yeah, strange. I don't even remember. Yeah.
And so then we see them driving off towards Las Vegas, just as the last page of the comic book depicted. So we get this weird scene at a bar with Matt trying to like lick his wounds from his overbearing wife.
And it's just him, just like it's like he's having conversations with people, but he's just reading their minds, and he's reacting like they're having normal conversations. So when the guy's like going through the same problems as him, the first guy that he reads the mind of is just saying, he doesn't want to go back to his wife. He looks over and like, raises his glass, and then the guy's just like, this guy's a freak. It's great. Like,
You thought he was like, you're barking up the wrong tree. So great. And then this really crazy thing happens. Like, we hear that sound that becomes very familiar, and Matt notices a mysterious man, and he can't read his thoughts. And then he tries to get up, and he falls on the floor. And we're just like, okay. What is that about then? Oh, God. But, thank God we don't end the episode there, because we got some Mohinder and Eaton. They lead the police back to Sylar's apartment, and everything is gone, of course. Like, what did you expect? You send one person out for the police. You don't leave. You know these people are cleaning up after themselves. You've experienced it twice, Mohinder.
For like someone who's like a scientist who should be really smart, he's not very.
I understand
smart,
why his father told him to stay.
Yeah.
Then what else happens? Oh, Peter attacks Nathan as he tries to like get into his little congressional vehicle. And he's like, there was never a reporter. I just wanted to get ahead of the story and use it for personal gain, basically. So then Simone sees him, and she's like, I know you didn't try to kill yourself. And they kiss. And, of course, we get reminded of the sketch that he drew sometime.
Oh, we completely brushed over the part where he tells her he loved her from the first moment he saw her. And I rolled my eyes into the back of my head.
I know. Me too. Like I said, that I don't believe that chemistry either. And then we kind of go into an exam room, and we see someone remove the branch from Claire's head. And she wakes up, and she's cut open for an autopsy. And that was like, what?
Yeah, it was great. It was a great cliffhanger.
That was the best. I was just like, yes, this is what I'm talking about. So yeah, that's pretty much this episode. I haven't asked you this question yet. How do you feel about the voiceovers?
To be honest, I quite like them. It sets the scene, and yeah, I quite like them. But also, like, half the time I'm not really listening to them. Like, it's only through like subtitles I actually properly listen and mainly read what they're telling me. And they kind of set the scene for some stuff. But yeah, how about you?
I think because it's a comic book, it doesn't, like, it's supposed to be very comic book-ish, that it doesn't bother me, and that it kind of sets the theme of the episode. And of course, it's Sunil's voice, so
changing slightly to American.
slowly,
Yeah,
it's kind of like Hero's evolution. Slowly but surely.
It's his character development. Yeah, it's his character development becoming more American as the show progresses. Yeah.
Yeah, I like them though, just simply because it kind of gives you a theme and you kind of just. At this point, it's still all kind of about evolution and people's fates and destiny. So, what about the grade?
Well, I probably will. I'll actually bring this up to a B just for the cliffhanger at the end. I think it's a great way to finish off the episode. And it kind of started to charge me up for the rest of the episodes to come. But you know, Heroes always is, well, for the first couple of episodes, has done a really good thing with their cliffhangers, trying to get you back into the next episode. So yeah, how about you?
Actually, this one is definitely a C plus. It was just not enough. After the episode before this, it's just like you expect more of the ball to be rolling, and it's just kind of most of the episode. Honestly, I feel like in retrospect, it feels just like Ando and Hiro arguing. Like that's what I remember the most about this episode. So yeah, you just expect more after that big reveal, and plus the whole rapey thing. It was just like, eh.
So, if you had to pick a memorable scene, whether good or bad, which one would it have been?
I have to go with Nathan, just totally throwing Peter under the bus, man. Because everybody's reaction, like everybody looked at Peter, and then everybody turned around at Nathan and goes, "How could you do that to your brother?"
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. I think I'd go with exactly the same thing, but a close second is the image of Claire Bennett walking with an F. Oh no, this happened the last one, didn't it? Yeah, no, don't worry. Yeah, I'll go with that one. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting everything mixed up now.
What about, did any memorable lines stick out to you?
I'll probably go with the whole conversation. Like, I quite like the conversation between Hiro and Ando on the plane, closely followed up by the woman falling asleep on his shoulder. How about you?
Okay, I'll go with the first one is where Claire wakes up at the end of it. She goes, "Holy sh!" And that's the end of it. And then the other one is where Isaac says, "I don't want to lose you, Simone. But if you don't believe in me, then you shouldn't be here." And then Simone goes, "Fine. You think you can paint the future? Paint one without me." So, trivia time.
I don't have much. No, I don't really have anything, to be honest. It's just, yeah, I don't have anything. What do you have?
It's like a really kind of I don't know. It's a really dated reference where Audrey calls Matt Karnak, like, which is like a Johnny Carson thing. I'm barely old enough to even get that reference.
Yeah, I only knew about it from just reading trivia on Heroes Wiki, but yeah, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Exactly. There's also an unaired scene from Genesis with a photograph of the altar boy, with Paul Sylar's birth announcement, and we see that one in Chandra's apartment in Chennai, India. So
okay,
that's where they were kind of going, but I feel like that just kind of got dropped because we're already talking about blowing up New York.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, in a post 9/11 world, and I feel like to throw in like all that other stuff that comes with Catholicism and altar boys, it would have just been too much. Do you know what I mean?
In the episode that just had like a little bit rape. So yeah.
Yeah, with an attempted one in the very first episode. So it's just like, guys, didn't this come on at like 8:00 on a Wednesday?
Yeah.
It's a bit much. It's not really quite family friendly as I was hoping this would be. Okay, let's talk about Trial by Fire. Did you get a chance to read that one? Which is the graphic novel for this episode? Yeah,
I quite liked it. It was that's the thing about the graphic novels, because they're so short. You can, like, 6 pages, you can pretty much read them quite quickly. And yeah, I quite liked this one. It gave it kind of was Nathan being a hero, but then also it just ends with typical Nathan stuff. So with him passing a vote Petrelli button onto the woman he saved. What did you think about it? Yeah.
That was my favorite part, actually.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's just like Peter. Man. Even in the graphic novels, he's tedious. And also, we get that character of Sheila.
Okay.
So, yeah. And it fills in the holes between One Giant Leap. It's basically what happened after he had his argument with Peter. That was basically what the graphic novels were for, but like I actually didn't even read any of them until like
after the fact.
The beginning of season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's great for the rewatch.
Yeah.
He was like, oh yeah, now I can read these in order. So yeah. I think it was a pretty good one. these graphic novels are pretty standard, pretty good all the time. I don't think there's one that I was always like, yeah, you can skip that. Well, at least until the second batch. Second batch got rough. I won't lie to you guys.
I haven't had a chance to like read them all, so I'm kind of just like gonna wait and just read them all as the episodes go on. But yeah, there's those little bits because they carried it on during the summer, didn't they? And did they release one week by week during the hiatuses and stuff like that?
I think they did during the hiatus. I don't remember if they did over the summer. Like I said, I read it at the beginning of season 2, like right before season 2 started. I just read them all from the volume 1 Genesis. Which always kind of tickled me pink. That's how they decided to break them up. A little pretentious, but whatever. Let's get into some shameless plugs and self-promotion.
You can find us on our Facebook, which is still being built at the moment. Just give us a like anyway. We'll be posting stuff on there, don't worry. It's just Primatech Files. If you want to find us on Twitter, it's exactly the same, Primatech Files. And finally, if you want to email us, you've guessed it, it's at primatechfiles@gmail.com. And you can follow me on Twitter at Ricky J Diaz. That's RICKYJDIAZ, or Z if you're English. And where can they follow you, Lilith?
You can find me on Twitter at Lilith Hellfire. If you're on Instagram, I should have my first pictures on Instagram posted. You can find me at Lilith Hellfire 86.
And until next time, download the podcast, save the world.